Hi, so welcome to Riverbridge's first virtual fundraiser, Find Your Voice. This past year, we have certainly had to shift and try new things, and we hope to bring the community a fundraiser that represents Riverbridge and our mission. So with the selection of workshops this month, we hope to inform you, inspire you, bring out some creativity, and possibly even entertain you. Now, as raising a nonprofit, raising funds and donations is a yearly requirement. We are proud to have the assistance and support of many local businesses. So please consider these places of businesses for any of your next needs.
Ace Hardware of Carbondale is proud to serve the Roaring Fork Valley for over 20 years. Our in-house specialists are prepared to lend their expertise and experience to your next project. From hardware to backyard grilling, your neighborhood Ace is the one-stop shop to make your day easier. Helping you is our most important thing to do today. Serving the Valley for over 40 years and 3 generations strong, Roaring Fork Furniture is here to stay. Their 10,000 square foot showroom is located at 2424 South Glen Avenue, just south of Alpine Bank. Don't have time to stop by? You can tour the store from the comfort of your own home with their virtual showroom, which you'll find at roaringforkfurniture.com. They have new inventory arriving daily, so don't wait any longer to turn your house into your dream home.
If your mortgage advisor hasn't given you an annual mortgage review, then you need to listen to this message because it could potentially change your financial future. An annual mortgage review analyzes where you could save money on your mortgage and builds strategies for retirement, college savings, and future real estate investments. If you haven't had an annual review, then schedule a consultation with me today and we'll start seeing what options are available for you.
Next, I'd like to take a few moments to educate you on the services that Riverbridge provides our community. just to recap, Riverbridge, we are nationally accredited child advocacy center. We are one of 17 in the state of Colorado and also one of 881 nationally through National Children's Alliance. We're a calm, neutral facility where we work with law enforcement and the Department of Human Services to assist in investigations with child abuse allegations. All our referrals do come from law enforcement or the Department of Human Services. Our services, we have forensic interviewers, mental health therapists, medical providers, victim advocacy services, all working with the child and the family in order to help them heal. We also, as you saw in the video, we have a facility dog, and he's right here. His name is Frazier, and he very much helps calm children's anxiety during forensic interviews and even sometimes during mental health therapy. Now, what is the point of a child advocacy center? Without a child advocacy center, often children have to disclose their instances of abuse to several people. They might have to go down to the police station and talk to law enforcement. Then they'll have to go to maybe speak with the district attorney. Then maybe have to speak with a nurse, and then also tell maybe a therapist. And that can often increase stress and anxiety in the child. And we're very much child focused. We want to make sure that the children are protected and assured that they are provided for here. So all at the CAC, Child Advocacy Center, all of those people come together and they are able to meet with the child from here through our forensic interviewer, our victim advocate, our mental health therapist. They're able to meet with the child rather than the child going to them. So children and families, we make sure that all of their needs are met in one neutral and friendly setting. Now, my name is Mary Cloud. I am the Assistant Director for Riverbridge, and I work primarily with fundraising, outreach in the community, grant writing, and staff support. Also, I would like to introduce Blythe Chapman, who she will then also tell her experience and her work within Riverbridge. Blythe?
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Blythe Chapman. I'm the Executive Director for Riverbridge Regional Center. I've been with Riverbridge for about 10 years, and I have to tell you, it's the best place to work. We get to meet the most amazing kids and teenagers and families, and I just love what I do. Unfortunately, I do all the boring stuff, and I rely on my amazing staff to do all the hard work. And they really do amazing work. So thank you, Mary, for having and putting this together. It's pretty amazing. And thank you, Paige, for kicking off April Child Abuse Prevention Month for us.
That's right. So now on to our main focus tonight. Tonight we have with us is Paige Quist. And she is going to share with you her experience with her experience. Rape culture and sexual assault, it is a survivor's voice, and that is what she is. It might be difficult to hear, but her voice, she is sharing her voice, and that's what this fundraiser is all about, is bringing that out in people. So Paige, honored to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Can you guys see that okay and hear me okay?
We can.
Perfect. Hey everyone, as most of you know, I am Paige Quist, and I would like to take a minute of all of your time to inform you about some recent events. I know I've been out of the Valley for about 2 months now, but I am back, as most of you know. Yesterday afternoon and later at night, Henry Henley and Keegan Callahan did get arrested. They got arrested under charges of sexual assault and rape. I came forward and I reported it because I was raped by both of them. And I know I have heard at least that there are other people within the Valley that have had this happen to them. And I encourage you, if you're one of those people, to please speak to me, please speak to someone. I also encourage you guys to report it. They are away. They are in jail. They will not be getting in jail. They will not be getting out anytime soon, as I know. They may not, but it does not seem like that at the moment. I just also want to let you know that there is a huge support system out there, and that if you are struggling, I would love to support and help you through with whatever. If you're struggling with any other person, just letting you know that there are people out there for you. There are people in this community, outside of this community, to help you. It is a difficult time, and I understand. So I just wanted to inform you guys with what was happening, what is happening in the Valley, why you won't be seeing certain people, why I may be in and out of school for it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I am there for you, and to please come forward if you have any information or any knowledge that has happened to you. Again, it is hard, it's difficult, I understand. I don't understand your exact situation, but I can relate. And I just hope that whatever you guys are going through, that you know that there is someone, as I've stated, out there that will be able to, if not help, at least alleviate some of the trauma you've experienced. Thank you. I also would like to state that there's more that happened 2 months ago. That is just me. I attempted suicide. I went away for a bit to a residential. I'm in a better place now. I'm doing a lot better. But that is the main reason I was away. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, or if you need anyone, again, I am here for you 100%.
Hello, I am Paige Quist, and I am a freshman at the Clark Honors College at the University of Oregon. I'm a psychology major and a creative writing minor, and my plan is to be a psychotherapist and a sex therapist. I'm here today because I believe that we as a community and a society lack the proper information on serious topics. We need to talk about these undiscussed components because without communication, we will continue down the same path. About 1.5 years ago, I was raped. Since this incident, I have strived to be an activist and be open about my experiences and perspectives. At the end of July 2018, I was brutally raped by my at-the-time boyfriend, Henry Henley, and friend, Keegan Callahan. I stayed silent, went through immense physical and emotional pain, and tried to end my life. This suicide attempt led me to get sent to a residential home for a couple of months, where I continued to say nothing of what had occurred. It was coming back home that led to reality fully settling in, and I knew I had to say something. Within approximately a week of me being back, Henry and Keegan were arrested. They were taken in and put on $100,000 cash-only bonds each. As you can see here, these are the initial charges Henry and Keegan were faced with. They were each charged with 13 felonies from my case alone, each individually charged with 6 Class 2 felonies. As the cases went on, the DA arranged plea deals with Henry and Keegan's defense attorneys. This was a negative as their potential sentencing was reduced by an immense degree, and many of the felonies were dropped or altered. These images here are what the charges became with the plea deals and the possibilities of their sentencing. As you can tell, a lot was dismissed from the original charges. These next images are the papers of them pleading guilty, and the breaking down of the elements of the crime, the terminology, and the range of their sentencing. Here it lays out the terms and agreements Henry and Keegan were given. The final component of their plea deals are agreements to protection orders for several of the victims, including me, and the statement clarifying their mandatory sex offender registration. Before I state their final sentencing, I do want to clarify that I believe Henry Henley and Keegan Callahan are not beneficial to society and should have been given harsher sentences that amounted to more. They are both sexually violent predators who harmed many more than me. Now, Henry's final sentence is 16 years in the Department of Corrections, but if he successfully completes the 5 years in the youthful offender system, he will not have to serve the additional 11 years in prison. He will also be sentenced with probation for 20 years to life and will register as a sex offender for life. Keegan's final sentence was a range of 5 to 16 years, but agreed to 14 years and will get out in 8 years on good behavior in the Department of Corrections. He also agreed to do a 1-year sentence in each case for his misdemeanor charges and pleaded guilty for providing minors with alcohol. He will serve a 5-year sentence of parole and will register as a sex offender for life. They both had all of their Class 2 felonies erased and many of the others. They were left being given only, and I truly mean only, a Class 3 and 4 felony, and Keegan an additional Class 1 misdemeanor. Henry was also allowed to be deemed as a non-sexually violent predator. There were over 5 known females and a couple of males who had gone to report Henry. 3 other females besides me also came forward and are covered by the protection order. He assaulted, groped, and permanently impacted numerous men and women, yet here he is with a plea deal that was changed to say he does not meet the statutory criteria for a sexually violent predator. So now I ask you, how many more must have been harmed to be deemed as one? Was I not enough? Were the others not enough? Both Henry and Keegan will one day walk among us in society again because they were let off easy. Until we start normalizing and supporting victims who come forward, victims' cases will continue to go down an unfair path. Coming forward had to be one of the hardest things I ever have done. I paced in front of my mother for almost 2 hours until I was able to say what had happened. I was not met with disgust, anger, or hatred. Instead, I was met with immediate support and her letting me know that she would stand beside me no matter what. I went to many therapy sessions and I reached out to every possible support because at the beginning of all of this, I did think it was my fault. I hated myself because I was the reason behind getting them in jail. I was the person who halted their path in life. Then I realized it was their fault and their decisions that got them where they were. The support I had by family and the resources that were available to me should be available to everyone else. The process of coming forward was nerve-wracking, but what keeps me going was the fact that if I did not come forward, others would not be safe. I knew this would not only protect me, but many other males and females, and it would permanently label Henry and Keegan as sex offenders. One of the biggest causes in the prevention of someone coming forward is the lack of support and verbal abuse from people in the victim's community, or from society in general. It is difficult to accept that these terrible acts have happened to someone you know, or that someone you know has committed one of these horrific acts. But what I beg of you is to always support the victim, or at least do not tear them down and do not try to silence them. 63% of sexual assaults and 88% of child sexual abuse is not reported to the police. With more support, encouragement, and the creation of a safe environment, we could get that percentage down. We need to stop saying boys will be boys, or they were asking for it, or it was revenge, or any of the other BS others and I have heard countless of times. And most importantly, we need to stop blaming the victim. Very few reports are false. No matter what, the cause of sexual assault is the perpetrator. By allowing these actions to continue or people to get by, we deem them as acceptable. You may not have known a family member or friend or loved one as well as you believed. By being the person saying the perpetrator is innocent and going at the victim, you become a problem too. So can we stop silencing victims and participating in victim shaming? Because by doing this and persuading victims against the idea of coming forward, you keep someone around that will do the same harm to another person. Although I had a ton of support, I also was met with hatred and upsetting comments. Since my whole ordeal was so public, I had many people either reaching out to me or attacking me. I knew all I could do was kill them with kindness and hold my head up high. I knew that my story was real and I knew what happened to me. I had nothing to fear or regret because I had nothing to hide. People broke me down, but fighting for my own justice built me back up and opened my life up to new people. I know the idea of coming forward is petrifying, but I know it also is beyond worth it. We need to normalize coming forward. Society needs to listen and act appropriately to what is occurring everywhere and constantly. We are letting our women, children, and men get abused, used, and ignored. What someone was wearing, under the influence of, or relationship status they were involved in does not allow another person to act in any way they prefer to that person. If the person says no, is incoherent, or does not say anything, it is unquestionably non-consensual. Consent can be changed at any time during a sexual encounter, and it is not related to the relationship status. By this, I mean that consent must always be given, even if the person may be your significant other, your sexual partner, or a stranger. If someone is attempting to persuade, force, or pressure you into ultimately consenting, this is not genuine consent and is non-consensual. Consent should be given eagerly and with positive emotions, Negative motions do not belong with consent. Now I want to tell you all something. 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will get sexually assaulted or abused before they hit 18. Here are some other statistics quickly for you. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men will be raped at some point in their lives. 1 in 10 women has been raped by an intimate partner, and 1 in 45 men has been forced to penetrate an intimate partner. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 13 men are sexually assaulted in college. In 8 out of 10 cases of rape, the victim knew the person who sexually assaulted him. And an extremely important statistic, approximately less than 4% of rape reports are false reports, and yet 99.5% of perpetrators will never face jail time. These statistics are extremely unsettling, and the more you look into them, the more information is hard to swallow. Our estimates in America for sexual abuse, rape, or violence each year is nearing 1 million victims. Over the years, these numbers have appeared to be increasing, and states of emergency, such as our current COVID-19 pandemic, has elevated the risk to an even higher extent. The numbers are not going down, they are rising. We need to change. Before going into this next part, I want to state that these laws and pieces of information I am about to present to you are based off of the Colorado Revised Statutes. I want to go over key terms relating to sexual assault and abuse because I feel there are misunderstandings within some terms and confusion. Sexual assault requires sexual penetration or sexual intrusion. Sexual penetration is intercourse, oral sex, or anal sex. Sexual intrusion is insertion of an object or body part, not penetration as in sexual penetration, and such intrusion can be used for sexual arousal, gratification, or abuse. Unlawful sexual contact requires sexual contact, either touching above or under clothing by the perpetrator, or if the perpetrator has the victim touch them, or causing contact with bodily fluids if for the purpose of sexual arousal, gratification, or abuse. Unlawful sexual contact is also when a perpetrator includes or induces or coerces a victim under 18 through any of the sexual assault means to expose intimate parts or engage in sexual contact, intrusion, or penetration for perpetrator's sexual gratification. Conspiracy is agreeing with another to commit a crime and taking an overt action toward its completion, whether or not the crime is committed. Solicitation is trying to get someone else to commit a crime or offering to commit a crime for someone else. Complicity is planning or helping another commit a crime and wanting the other to commit the crime, and the other actually completes the crime. A complicitor is guilty of the same crime as the principal actor. Think of a getaway driver in a bank robbery. They were in on the planning and they helped, but they didn't actually rob the bank. The getaway driver is still guilty of the robbery. Sexual exploitation is actual or attempted abuse of a position of vulnerability, power, or trust for sexual purposes, including, but not limited to, profiting monetarily, socially, or politically from the sexual exploitation of another. Sexual exploitation can also be used over the internet with minors and others. Sexual assault on a child is any sexual contact with a victim under 15 years old and the perpetrator is at least 4 years older. Sexual assault on a child can also deal with the position of trust, which is a parent, guardian, otherwise charged with health, education, welfare, or supervision of a child. This means that the person in the position of trust has assaulted the child. This next part is to help shed some light onto the seriousness of committing any of the acts I just discussed. This will not result in a slap on the wrist. It will not be something you can just get away with. This is something that can destroy your life completely, and it is important to shed light on this fact. Sexual assault is a Class 4 felony, and attempted sexual assault is a Class 5 felony. A Class 1 felony is the worst you can be charged with. Class of felony, and therefore punishment, is heightened with force, threats, drugging, multiple perpetrators, use of weapon, or serious bodily injury. Felonies are punishable by prison, and misdemeanors are punishable by jail. But when it comes to sexual assault or sexual offense cases, there are a lot of special rules. In sexual assault or unlawful sexual contact, jail time and probation can be heightened from the list I stated before: force, threats, drugging, multiple perpetrators, use of weapon, or serious bodily injury, depending on the case. Without anything heightening the sentence, unlawful sexual contact typically includes jail and possible probation, and sexual assault typically includes probation and prison. With factors added that heighten the sentencing, both offenses would face time in prison for the possibility of it being to life. When sentencing a perpetrator, they will receive psychosexual evaluation, and those who receive sex offense probation have mandatory sex-specific treatment. The evaluation is typically carried out by a psychologist, and the specific treatment is under intensive supervision. Some cases have indeterminate sentences, meaning that the length varies from a set amount of years to life, and some cases do have mandatory prison. My original charges carried both of these components, and these aspects are more intense for sentencing as they hold the perpetrator in supervision or containment for longer. If someone has been convicted with committing sexual assault on a child, unlawful sexual contact, and indecent exposure, they will be mandated to register as a sex offender. For offender registration, one must always notify the police when they move, register annually, and must also inform others in their community. Registering as a sex offender puts many restrictions on one's life and also limits their freedom and privacy, and deregistering is a lengthy process that is not guaranteed. Now, with all of this being said, if you are convicted of one of these crimes, and if you decide to commit one of these crimes, just remember to think about a few things. You will never get a decent job if you are even able to find a job. You have to notify everyone in a community you move into that you are a registered sex offender. If you are about to attend college, you may as well say goodbye to that. And any open doors you may have had will now be closed. You will ruin your life of opportunities and freedoms. Something else I would like to touch on today is domestic violence, as it was part of the trauma I endured, even though it was not mentioned. I did not know what had truly happened to me until I was fully removed from the toxic relationship with Henry. Sometimes we would simply be hanging out together and he would flip a switch, or his mom would set him off, causing him to go into full violence and aggression. I remember vividly when he was playing a stupid video game once on his phone. Something happened, whether he died or lost or screwed up, which caused him to turn to me and grab me by my throat. He held me there for a second and then slapped me straight across the face, twice. Another time he got so angry all he could do was destroy everything around him. Sadly, I was there that day, and it was all because of a fight with his mother. He wrecked his room, destroyed his hand, and bruised my face. He had punched me. He had hit me, and he had damn near suffocated me. I was 15 and 16 during these times. Me being taller or bigger does not matter, because I could and would never lay on my hands. I would never lay my hands on someone the way he did. I had bruises on my body that I would create lies for. When he bruised my face, I just told my mom that I had fallen off the bed. When friends asked about my neck or around my body, I laughed it off. I was not living reality. I was repressing every moment of the bad. Domestic violence is not as simple as leaving or staying, because why would you leave when you do not realize what is so wrong, or when you force yourself to forget the painful parts? Violence never is the answer in situations such as these. Domestic violence is hidden by the victims due to the fear of getting more abused or the fear of being isolated in their search for help. I did not choose, allow, or want to be used in the way I was. It's crazy how people commented on the internet how I was a scorned ex-girlfriend who just wanted revenge, when in reality, all Henry did was take out his want of revenge and intimidation on me. We victims are not asking for any of this. We do not deserve it. And if you think Henry or people like him would have only beaten their significant other, think again. Those types of people will do the same to kids, their own children if they have them, and to any adult. The more we turn away from these issues, the higher the risk will be for your children to be victims of child abuse or domestic violence and abuse. Silence is not always because of fear, but safety too. We need to create a society in which silence is dangerous and speaking out is safety. Because when we choose to keep these events to ourselves, who are we exposing? For example, in my case, I was the last known incident with many other victims before me. If even one of them would have come forward, would I have been spared my trauma? How many others would have been spared if the first would have come forward? We have an obligation to help each other, to stick together, because that is how we change things. We have to step back, take a good look, and sometimes admit where errors are and how to move toward improvements. Before I fully dive into how we can start coming together, I do need to discuss some important components of our valley, the Roaring Fork Valley. The schools in our valley have allegedly been letting down victims of abuse. A school down valley allegedly allowed students to create a petition for a perpetrator to go to a school event, yet exclude the victim instead. Aspen High School allegedly was informed by victims of Henry Henley and victims of other perpetrators about what had happened to them. The school allegedly did not proceed to report any of the incidents. An Aspen police officer was allegedly informed of a young child being a victim of Henry Henley. The police officer allegedly did not do anything with this information. There are kids in our valley who are not even aware that they have been raped and cope by making jokes or excuses. They have no clue that they were harmed because they lack the knowledge and education on the topic, or are persuaded to believe something different. We as a valley lack education and communication. We have astounding resources such as Riverbridge and Response, to name a couple, that our schools do not actively utilize or advocate for. I would have never known about Riverbridge if Officer Brian Stevens did not recommend me going there. So how do we fix this? Schools can put together more events or information sessions with Riverbridge or resources similar to them. Schools can ensure they are giving students a class on rape prevention, sexual assault awareness, mental health, drug usage, etc. Schools in the community can come together to try and create group therapy sessions so more of us are coming together and discussing these crucial topics. Events such as this one that Riverbridge is putting on can become something more common so we can continuously discuss these issues and make it a new norm. Until we can free ourselves from the shackles that society puts us victims in, we must fight to normalize coming forward and being united as a community when doing so. Although allowing these actions to happen, supporting the perpetrator, or ignoring these actions is just as bad as committing them. My path in life may have differed than what it was originally supposed to be, but I did not let my opportunities and goals to be taken away. Instead, I set new ones. I set bigger and grander ones. I succeeded in my high school sports. I was able to speak at events to share my story. I was able to be an outlet for others and a safety for them. My path was not destroyed. It became clearer and my determination only grew stronger. I did not get weaker coming forward. I was not living in fear and pain. Instead, I took what had happened to me and empowered myself. It is my story. It is what happened to me. And if I can help anyone else going through something similar, it is a win. If I'm able to impact someone's life, it is worth it. What happened to me only caused me to get stronger. I landed 2 people who literally almost killed me behind bars struggling for their future. The more we victims come forward, the more others will feel safe to do so. No longer will we need to fear our own voices speaking our truths. No longer will we be sacrificing the safety of generations to come due to the lack of discussion and communication. Do not be afraid of what happened. Get justice. I encourage anyone who has suffered any of this abuse to come forward. The more we can come together and come forward, the more we will see sentencing happen how it is supposed to. No longer would we allow people like Henry and Keegan to be out in a few years. It is by doing this, by supporting each other and holding the perpetrator accountable, that we can start having true justice. You may feel alone, but I can promise you, you are not. Riverbridge, Response, and local police departments, especially with more training, are amazing resources our valley has to offer. They will help you through the process and ensure your safety and confidentiality. They will help you however you need in an environment completely free of judgment. Let's make a community full of support. Let's also make a safer community. Please know I'm here for you and so many others. Now let's stop letting abusers, rapists, pedophiles, exploiters, and molesters get away. Our power is in our voices, girls, boys, theys, and thems. I will never again be silenced, and I hope you will never have to be silenced. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation today. I welcome any and all questions or discussions. Please do not hold back. I cannot hear you.
Oh,
Mary, you're unmuted.
sorry. I was muted. Thank you very much, Paige. And yes, let's open it up to any questions. You have the ability to unmute yourself and you can introduce yourself to Paige and ask your question.
Well, I just want to say, Paige, thank you so much for being so brave. And I think all of us at Riverbridge are just so impressed by you from the very beginning. And it's very rare for a kid, a teenager, to have that kind of bravery. And it really brings me to tears. I'm really, really impressed. And I know you're going to do great things. I don't have any questions for you. I just think you did an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Paige, how about you talk about what is in your future? What are you doing now? And what are your hopes?
I am currently a freshman at University of Oregon. I'm in my last quarter for my freshman year. I am hoping to go to grad school after and become a psychotherapist and a sex therapist that works with assault survivors and anybody within the LGBTQIA+ community. And I also hope to continue speaking at events, working with nonprofit organizations, and then pursue art on the side of all different mediums.
Where do you think you're where do you think you're pulling a lot of your strength from in order to do these presentations and do some of the advocate work that you were wanting to do?
I love being there for other people. I have seen how other people have been affected with many different types of situations. And especially after I came forward, since it was so public, I had an immense amount of people coming forward to me, asking me what they need to do. I had adults reaching out to me, even though I was 16. So I had a whole array of people. And when I had that many people in such a small valley reaching out to me, reality really struck in about how much this is an issue and that no one's really talking about it and no one feels comfortable talking about it. And I had made mine so public, and so I figured, why not? I'll talk about it. If we can help other people not have to go through what I had to go through, that's perfect. That's all I need. And I want this process to be smoother for other people. I want everyone to get the justice they deserve, and for people to, just also feel okay to speak about whatever they need to, and to completely feel comfortable discussing it with anyone.
Hey, Paige, it's Lori Bennett. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Hi. Honey, I was the victim advocate when you came to Riverbridge. I remember your story, and I want you to know I'm so proud of you. You're shining, incredible. You look beautiful, and I'm so proud of you, Paige. It was a very horrible case to follow. Henry and Keegan, of course, had other victims, and it took a lot of Riverbridge's energy and time to follow, and we followed you closely. And I just want to say, I'm super proud of you. You make my heart, I'm so proud of you. I'm going to cry too. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, and I am beyond thankful that I had Riverbridge to go and talk to and work with through all of this. You guys were absolutely amazing and so welcoming. And without you guys, the process probably would have been a whole lot harder for me.
Well, you're amazing, honey, and I'm super proud of you, and you are an inspiration and a great story.
Thank you.
You're welcome, doll.
Paige, I actually have a question. One of the things we really struggle with helping kids and teenagers through is, like you mentioned in your presentation, that prosecution or even charges is very seldom in these cases, unfortunately. So I'm wondering how, you got some justice in your case, however, probably not exactly what you wanted to see. So how do you cope with that, and how do you stay positive? And what kind of message could you give other kids and teenagers going through similar situations in which they may not see the kind of outcome that they were looking for?
I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely hard. And some days you can just have a day where anything sets you off about it and you have no clue why, even though it's several years later, and you're just in this struggling mindset. But I have an amazing therapist who I've been going to since the incident happened, and he's definitely somebody that just keeps me going through it all. Um, and I just have to keep reminding myself that if I keep talking about it, and working with people, that okay, maybe yeah, my case was nowhere near the outcome I wanted it to be. But maybe some other kids will. Maybe somebody will be in a very similar situation or completely different situation than me, and their court case will be the best court case we've ever seen with the best outcome for the victim. And I would love to see that. I would be so happy to start seeing court systems give just the actual justice that is deserved to be served. And I definitely just encourage kids to talk about it, like just to always talk about it. I mean, talking about it, yeah, it's hard, but the more you do it, it's honestly freeing. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's totally fine too, but then find a way to keep you like grounded somehow. When it first happened, I did art all the time. My art projects for IB Art, they're all very brutal and graphic because it was exactly what I was feeling. But I also know that it's really hard because kids will turn on you, especially if it was a friend of theirs. But you just have to surround yourself with people that'll stand behind you and support you. And if social media is rough, just delete it, don't look at it, and just know, I always told myself, like, everyone can hate me for it, but I know I'm not lying. I know what happened to me, and so you can deny it and you can hate me for it all you want, but I know what happened to me. And I just never let then anyone take that away from me. And if your court case doesn't get it, here's the thing, you still at least labeled them as what they are, and you brought awareness to that person not being a good person. Because if my whole court case would have gone nowhere and they would be walking around today, there's still all of those newspapers and I'm still here. And so you can say it didn't happen all you want, but talk to me and just look at the court case we had. It happened. And you just got to remember that. And every day you just got to do what you need to do to where you feel okay in the situation, and search out the support that is best for what you're going through.
Thank you, Paige. That's very helpful.
I can ask a question I'm curious about. Hi, Paige. This
Hello.
is Megan. I'm the therapist at the River Bridge. And I guess I'm curious how you spoke about how, you know, when something like this comes out, people tend to take sides. You know, they kind of pick their team. And so there were people that were really picking Henry's team and your team, and maybe somewhere in the middle. But I'm wondering if you saw anything change, like did you see any minds change? And if so, how did that happen?
I don't really, actually I saw one of my teachers' minds change. At my response event when I spoke, a teacher, that actually, him and I didn't get along that great, but he went to the response thing and I spoke out and he listened to me. And after I spoke, he came up to me and he was quiet. And he's like, Paige, I had no clue. I had absolutely no clue. And I just said, yeah. I was like, it's a lot, but it's okay. And he apologized And since that day, he was very nice to me. But he wasn't taking certain things seriously around any topic that was more serious. He just didn't want to see it. And hearing it from a student firsthand, and he had no clue I was speaking, he was shocked. And it really helped change his mind in that area because of how honest I was. I didn't hold anything back. Everything was there. And I did have a few friends change a little bit. In our valley, I don't really know why it's a thing, and it probably could happen elsewhere. I just grew up for middle school and high school in the valley. Rape jokes are very prominent. Like it's just things a bunch of kids will joke about to each other. And for me coming forward, that definitely happened a lot less. At least when I was around too. Kids held their tongue a little bit more. Or if they said it, they'd turn to me immediately and be like, "I'm so sorry, Paige." So there was like a little bit more awareness to it all. It didn't change things, sadly, in the long run because it didn't happen to the other kids. So it was the topic for a while around our whole entire valley and wherever it reached, and then it disappeared. And it wasn't discussed again, and it went away. And we didn't feel the need to discuss anything that was going on. So the importance of everything went away, and we kind of just went back to our same routine. I feel that it definitely caused more people to be more aware, start searching resources. I definitely know that a lot of kids did come forward after like they joined that court case or attempted to after I had come forward. So that was a big change, that enough kids felt safe enough to actually say something. That was the biggest change. But in general, you just gotta, with subjects like these, you have to constantly talk about them or nobody wants to talk about them. And until we make this like a really comfortable subject to talk about, we won't get to that full state of change and impact that we need to see.
Thank you again, Paige, for sharing your voice and telling us of your experience and informing us of all the specifics around sexual assault, domestic violence, the laws, and the outcomes. You certainly have learned a lot, and I know that you're going to take that and it's and keep talking, as you say, because that is important. We do a disservice when we keep things quiet. So it's important that we share it and not be afraid to talk about it. So thank you so much. This wraps up our evening's workshop. In the chat, I'm going to place a few links. Let's see, where's my chat? So again, this fundraiser, a lot of people were behind this fundraiser to make sure that it gets going. And we've had a lot of people help with recruiting different workshop leaders. So certainly our fundraising committee, I need to do a shout out to them and thank them for their support to put this together. We also, since this is our first virtual workshop and the first virtual fundraiser, I have a survey. If you could fill that out for us, we'd like to have your feedback. Maybe this might turn into an in-person event in the future for our organization. It might be something neat. We are also hosting a silent auction with some pretty fun theme baskets. So you can go on over to 32 Auctions and check that out. You might find something fun, and it closes at the end of the month. So you have quite a while, but you can at least get your eye on a couple items now. And if you're in the position to give a little more, please donate to our donation site through coloradogives.org. The link is there as well. As I said at the beginning, we have a lot of wonderful workshops. Paige is actually going to present once again on the 30th And that one also will be translated bilingual. We'll have a Spanish translator to do that as well. So if you want to check back in and see it again on the end of the month, the 30th, do so. Coming up next, though, is on Tuesday evening, Learn American Sign Language. So again, use your voice in a different way through American Sign Language, starting at 5:30 p.m. So thank you again, everyone, for attending this evening. Thank you, Paige, again, for sharing with us your voice. You are an inspiration. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Have a good evening. Hope to see you soon.